Picture this. It's late, the streets are deserted, and you're stranded with no way home. Out of the fog rolls an old rickshaw, rusty, creaking, driven by a silent figure who offers you a free ride. You hop in, thankful, but something's wrong. The air turns cold, the driver doesn't speak, and every night he stops at the same spot, muttering, "This is as far as I can take you." At first, it's just weird, until you start asking questions. What if this isn't a kind stranger, but something far darker? Welcome to tonight's tale, The Last Rickshaw Ride. A story that begins with a simple favor and ends in a nightmare you can't escape. Get ready. This isn't just a ride, it's a trap. Once you're in, there's no turning back. Let's dive into the fog and uncover the truth. The city was suffocating under a blanket of fog that night, thick and gray, swallowing the glow of streetlights whole. Arian stood at the empty bus stop, his breath puffing out in short, frosty clouds. He'd missed the last bus again. His phone was a useless brick. No cabs prowled the streets this day. He rubbed his hands together, cursing his luck, when a faint sound cut through the silence. The slow, rhythmic creak of wheels on pavement. Out of the mist rolled an ancient rickshaw, its wooden frame chipped and weathered, its faded red paint peeling like old wounds. The driver was a hunched silhouette, his face hidden beneath a tattered cap, his bony hands gripping the handles with an eerie stillness that made Arian's skin prickle. "Need a ride?" the driver rasped, his voice low and rough, like stones grinding together. Arian hesitated. The rickshaw looked like it belonged in a junkyard, not on these modern roads, but the cold was relentless, and home was miles away through the dark. "Yeah, thanks," he said, climbing into the sagging seat. "How much?" "No charge," the driver replied, pedaling into the fog without another word. The ride was unnervingly quiet. No small talk, no hum of engines. Just the creak of the wheels and the driver's heavy, rhythmic breathing. A sound that seemed to echo inside Arian's skull. He leaned back, watching the blurred shapes of buildings slide past, their edges softened by the mist. The air grew colder, sharper, biting through his jacket. 10 minutes in, he noticed they'd veered off the main road. The rickshaw rattled down a narrow, unfamiliar lane, its cobblestones jarring under the wheels. Shadows loomed taller, the fog denser, pressing in like a living thing. "Hey, this is the way to Sector 17, Arian said, leaning forward, a flicker of unease sparking in his chest. "Shortcut," the driver muttered, his head still bowed, not turning. Arian frowned, but stayed silent. The lane grew darker, the mist so thick it felt like they were moving through a tunnel of smoke. A faint smell crept in, damp earth, rust, and something sour in the place. The rickshaw slowed, then stopped. Arian peered out. They were at the edge of the road. Its rusted railings twisted and jammed, barely visible. This was a familiar thing. They stopped, a sharp edge. The driver turned slightly, his cap still cloaking his face in shadow. "This is as far as I can take you." "What?" "My house is still miles away," Arian snapped, frustration boiling. The driver didn't respond. He sat there motionless, hands resting in the handles, a statue carved from the night inside. Arian hugged, climbed out, and started walking, his footsteps echoing. He glanced back once. The rickshaw was gone, dissolved in a long, dream-driven shape. The next night, it happened again. Late shift, missed bus, and there it was. The rickshaw, creaking out of the mist like a phantom. Same driver, same offer, same eerie silence. And again, it stopped at the bridge. "This is as far as I can take you," the driver said, his voice a monotone rasp. Arian didn't argue this time. He just walked away, the unease growing into a tight knot in his gut. It became a pattern, a haunting routine. Every late night, no matter where he stood, bus stop, street corner, even outside a friend's house, the rickshaw found him. The driver never asked for payment, never explained, always stopped at that damned bridge. Arian started to dread it, the way it appeared like clockwork, the way it felt inevitable. But he kept climbing in. It was free, and the cold was a cruel master. One night, curiosity or maybe desperation pushed him too far. As the rickshaw halted at the bridge, he leaned forward, voice trembled. "Why do you always stop here? What's your deal?" The driver turned fully this time, and Arian's breath froze in his throat. Under the cap wasn't a face, just a hollow void with two glowing embers where eyes should have been, flickering like dying coals. "Because I can't cross," the driver whispered, his voice slithering into Arian's ears like a cold wind. Arian stumbled out, heart pounding, ran till his legs screamed. The next day, those eyes haunted him, inhuman, alive with something ancient and long. He needed answers. At the local library, he dug through old newspapers, hands shaking as he scanned faded pages. Then he found a brittle article from 1998. Rickshaw driver killed in tragic accident. Iqbal, a local puller, had been crossing that bridge late at night when a truck lost control. It smashed into him, dragging the rickshaw and Iqbal into the river below. His body was never found. Locals swore they'd seen his rickshaw on foggy nights, pedaling the streets like a restless ghost. Arian stared at the grainy photo, tattered cap, bony hands. It was him. The date hit like a punch. The accident happened 27 years ago, that day. That night, he locked every door, drew the curtains, and sat in the dark, pulse racing. At midnight, the creaking started outside. He peeked through a crack. The rickshaw waited under the streetlight, the driver still as death. His phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "Climb in." He didn't sleep. The next day, he told his friend Samir everything. Samir laughed it off. "Ghosts don't text, bro. You're paranoid." But Arian wasn't buying it. He dragged Samir to the bridge that evening, determined to prove it. The fog rolled in as they waited, heavy and suffocating. Hours passed, and Samir grew restless. "This is a waste of time," he said, turning to leave. Then, the air turned frigid. The creaking began, soft, then louder, insistent. The rickshaw emerged from the mist, rolling straight for them. Samir's smirk vanished. The driver stopped, tilting his head. "Need a ride?" he rasped. Samir bolted, but Arian stood his ground, legs trembling. "Who are you?" he demanded. The driver stepped off, his shadow stretching across the bridge, long and twisted. "I'm stuck," he said, his voice echoing like it rose from the river's depths. "I take them as far as I can, but I can't cross. Not until someone takes my place." Arian's blood ran cold. "Takes your place?" The driver's glowing eyes locked on him. "Climb in, finish the ride." Arian ran, chest heaving, until he collapsed at home. For a week, silence. No creaking, no texts. He dared to hope it was over. Then, one foggy evening, he heard it again. Peering outside, he saw the rickshaw, but Samir was pedaling, his face shadowed under a cap, eyes glowing faintly. A text buzzed, "Your turn." And that's where it ends, or does it? The last rickshaw ride leaves us with a shiver. What happens when you trust the dead? Arian thought he'd outrun it, but the rickshaw doesn't forget. One ride became a curse, and now Samir pedals through the fog, hunting the next soul. Maybe it's you, alone on a dark street, tempted by a free lift. Will you climb in, or will you run? The driver's out there, trapped between worlds, desperate for someone to take his place. Next time you hear a creak in the night, don't look too long, because once you're in that rickshaw, there's no escape. Thanks for joining me tonight. Subscribe for more tales to haunt your dreams. Until next time, stay safe and beware the fog. You never know who's offering you a ride or what they really want.